Hello and welcome to another episode of Accessible Airwaves.
This program is dedicated
to the education and exploration of disabled life,
giving voice to the life and experience of people with disabilities.
We cover a wide array of issues and disabilities.
We are people who discuss issues we are passionate about
and topics we are interested in.
We show how disability is in the mind of the beholder.
I am your host, John Aguilar. I am talking to Andrea Van Vugt on Zoom. She is a part of Disability Without Poverty, and she is the founder of Disability Pride Alberta. We talk about the new disability benefit bill being discussed by the Canadian government. So Andrea, how are things going with you these days?
Things are going good. It feels like it's finally summertime here in Calgary. So the sun is out and I'm happy to be out and about, busy with work with Disability Without Poverty. How are you?
Doing good.
Great.
Andrea, could you tell us and the listeners what Disability Without Poverty is about?
Sure. So Disability Without Poverty is a movement of people with disabilities and our allies. We're working towards getting a Canada Disability Benefit. So what that means is disabled people from across Canada connected with each other and started talking about a benefit that was promised to disabled people from the federal government. And so we've been talking since 2020 and doing interviews like this one and writing stories and having events to build awareness about the benefit and getting the disability community connected to push forward this bill.
Okay. How did Disability Without Poverty come together? It looks like a true grassroots movement.
Yeah, it's totally a grassroots movement. So after the promise was made by the government in 2020, disability community put our ears and eyes out and we said, we heard what you said, so we're not going to let you take that away. So we started talking with each other and telling our stories, and then it's evolved from there. So it began as one single conversation, and now we're an incorporated organization.
Now you are part of Disability Without Poverty. How did you become part of that?
Well, first of all, I'm disabled. So I have epilepsy. I have severe epilepsy, which means that I take medication twice a day to make sure that I don't fall over and that I stay relatively well. And I've also been a person that's lived in poverty. So when I was younger, I was diagnosed at 19 with disability, and I began receiving supports, income supports, and that was from Canada Pension Plan disability payments and long-term disability payments. But what it meant was I was still under the poverty line. So 1, I have a disability. 2, I've lived in poverty. So I'm here to talk about Disability Without Poverty. And I like to chat too. I think that's how I became part of it. So, I mean, there's the Disability Pride Alberta, where I've connected originally with Accessible Airwaves, right? And I love the disability community and I love advocating for it. So not only have I been in this situation as a person with disability and poverty, but I also like to talk with the disability community and advocate for them.
Interesting. Next question.
Sure, yeah.
Can you tell us about the setbacks in the 2021 surprise election?
Well, what had happened is that there was a bill on the table. So what that means is the government had made a promise that there was going to be this benefit, and there are certain stages to that. So what it means is the government puts a bill on the table, and then it goes through several stages until it becomes a law. But when the bill hasn't become law yet, if there's an election called, then that bill is put off the table and we start at ground zero again. So because it hadn't been passed yet, it was on the bill, it was on the table, and then the election took place, and then it was no longer there again. And I can't remember exactly what the question was, John. What was the question again?
Can you tell us about the setbacks in the surprise election?
Yeah, so that was the setback. Yeah, so we were moving full steam ahead, and then the election takes place, and then we're kind of at ground zero again. But it's gotten better since then.
All right, next question. Have you been involved in any other movements similar to this to achieve a specific goal?
So that's where Disability Pride Alberta comes in. Do you know anything about Disability Pride Alberta, John?
I think I've got to learn more.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so Disability Pride Alberta, I want there to be education about disabilities in kindergarten to grade 12. And I think that disabled people should be proud to be part of the disability community. And so I with the help of Disability Action Hall, we hosted a celebration where we all marched down Stephen Avenue towards some music and to some food and to some fun. And so we achieved a goal where we set to connect with each other and have a good time and, you know, show the world who the disability community is.
Would you consider Disability Without Poverty a success so far? Why or why not?
Well, I 100% would consider it a success. So we are getting our stories online about disabilities. We are connecting people from different disabilities with each other. So mine is epilepsy. Our director, Rabia, is blind. The co-chair has multiple sclerosis. Her name is Michelle Hewitt. And so these group of people with disabilities that might not usually connect with each other because we don't have the same disabilities are suddenly connecting with each other and sharing our stories and sharing our successes and some of our failures to learn from each other's lived experiences. And not only that, now we have this bill that's back into the House of Commons. And so this bill is on the table again. And I'm not sure if you had the chance yet, but we had several arts events through the year. We just had a video that came out called Where's the Bill, where Calgarian Jay Ross, who's now in Vancouver, made a totally cool, groovy song that makes you wiggle around and dance. And it puts not only a face to the disability community, but it also makes it fun. So although the actual Canada Disability benefit hasn't been put through yet, we've had success of growing and empowering the community.
This is the song, Where's the Bill, that Andrea's talking about from the Disability Pride Alberta website. It is performed by J. Ross Crawford, a hip-hop artist who has a visual impairment.
Where's the bill? 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 By word of mouth, we're gonna bring it to the house. Where's the bill? Where's the bill? Where's the bill? Where's the bill? By word of mouth, we're gonna bring it to the house. Where's the bill? 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 of mouth, we're gonna bring it to the house. Where's the bill? Where's the bill? Where's the bill? Where's the bill? By word of mouth, we're gonna bring it to the house. Where's the bill? 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 Yeah, so some love. CDB, baby. Where's the bill? Where's the bill? You guys gotta support out there. Come on. Where's the bill? Where's the bill?
And now back to the interview with Andrea Van Vugt. Can you speak about the other age groups that are not included in the bill, if those need to be addressed, or if you feel they are adequate at this time?
So I think that you're talking about in Alberta, where the benefits would be from working age. This would be a good place to talk about a past event where we talked about what's a bill. And there's a person named Senator Cotter who kind of answered this question. And he said it as plain and clear as I've heard it yet, that the other age groups that are not included in this bill are a different issue. And so right now, this bill is for working age Canadians. And if it was otherwise, it would be not only another conversation, but also another bill unto itself.
In Alberta, for example, where do disability benefits come from for some aged 19 to 64? With this bill introduced, where will this money be coming from?
So there are different sources of income for disability benefits for Albertans. The one that I think you're speaking about is assured income for the severely handicapped, so AISH. With this bill introduced, what we're hoping is that AISH will stay the same amount, so $1,685. And then the government, the federal government, would add the extra money amount for the income gap that disabled people currently have. So we hope that there wouldn't be something called a clawback. So what a clawback is if the federal government is giving more money to disabled people, we want to make sure that the Alberta government doesn't suddenly take that money that's been added away from the Alberta. So we're hoping Alberta stays the same amount, and then the Canadian federal government gives that extra amount to ensure that people with disabilities don't have to live in poverty.
How had Disability Without Poverty been consulted from the government or other groups?
So there's been all kinds of conversation with government and other groups. The most recent one was through Inclusion Canada, and they chatted with us about the Disability Inclusion Action Plan and asked disabled people to host focus groups. So the focus group had to happen pretty quick. I put out an invite 1 week, and then the focus group was the next week. And I asked the people that took part questions about money that they have received or money that they would like to receive and what that money would be able to do for them. So we've been talking with different people in different provinces. A really important piece to bring up too is that Michelle Hewitt, the co-chair, put together a petition where we talked about fast tracking a Canada disability benefit. So we said, not only do we want this benefit, but we need it fast because people with disabilities aren't doing well when it comes to how much money they get. And it went into the House of Commons. And so it went to the government in Canada, and we had over 17,800 signatures. And there's been various conversations and consultations that have been happening for the past, well, I guess it's 2.5 years now. Sheesh. So it's 2022. So there's been all kinds of conversations that have been happening and consultations.
All right, next question.
Mhm.
We saw Michelle Hewitt, co-chair of Disability Without Poverty, speak at a recent press conference. Can you tell us more about the leaders of this movement within Disability Without Poverty?
So the leaders of this movement, because it's a grass movement, we've been saying we're building the plane as we're flying it. So we're figuring things out as we go, and they're often associated with current changes, our current affairs. So the leaders of the movement are disabled people from across Canada. And then there are staff, which I'm both a leader and a staff member, where we are talking with each other and talking with people in the provinces to tell them what we're doing and how they can take part. So an example of that is there are two community organizers that are in British Columbia. Their names are Nusha and Kate. So Kate and Nusha both have disabilities. They're on the staff team, and they're doing something similar to what I'm doing. So more about the leaders. We have disabilities, we have lived experiences, and it's a really great team of people.
Okay. Will the disability benefit plan consider dependents as well?
You know what? We're not sure about that one. So there hasn't been any design of the benefit yet. Although there's talk of the benefit taking place, we don't know what it's going to look like. And that's an important piece for us as a disability community, is that when the government designs the bill, we're part of the making of the bill. And so we can ask those kind of questions and also tell them what is important. So this would be an example of sitting with the government and asking that question: will it consider dependence? And why is it important to consider dependent? And what is a dependent? And so if we can continue being involved like we have, those are questions that we can ask. And that's why we're talking to each other today. So we keep each other in the loop and talk about what's important to us. Because I'm sure that your disability is different than mine, and our financial money situations are different. So we need to talk about it and tell each other what's important.
You mentioned a community grant that you recently received. Could tell us what that entails?
Yeah, so we applied. So Disability Without Poverty applied for a grant from the Calgary Foundation, and it's a community grant. And so thankfully and gratefully, we received it. It's a 6-month grant where I'm going out and building relationships and talking with disabled people and our allies in Alberta and having conversations like this. And so we're thankful. It's a 6-month grant, and it makes it so when we have events, we can have American Sign Language and French Sign Language and all kinds of fabulous stuff like accessible Airwaves conversations. So we're thankful for that one.
Is there anything else you'd like to add today in this interview that we didn't touch on?
Sure, yeah. So I would say, have people check out the Disability Without Poverty website. So disabilitywithoutpoverty.ca. You can continue to learn more about what we're doing. You can sign up for the monthly newsletter. By the end of the week here, we're going to have a page that is specific to Alberta. So if you want to share a story with me, or you want to share a story with the public about Disability Without Poverty, feel free to contact me, and we can chat about what that will look like. Also, one of the big important pieces of this is to talk to our government, members of parliament. So the short version of that is MPs. We all live in different regions of Alberta and Canada. So we want to talk to the government in our regions and say, have you heard about the Canada Disability Benefit? Do you know how much this would help people with disabilities? We'd love to talk with you about it, and we would love to have this. So there are some tools on the website where you can find out who your member of parliament is, so your MP, and then also something to help writing a letter or email to that person. So yeah, getting on the website, disabilitywithoutpoverty.ca. You can talk to me directly, Andrea at disabilitywithoutpoverty.ca, and just get talking to the people and your friends and your teachers and your care workers and anyone you can about it until they can't stand it anymore. Great. Well, and you know what else I want to add is I just love Accessible Airwaves. So thanks for having me on here today. I think this is my third time having an interview. So I'm grateful for your show and for the important questions you ask and the great interviews that you always give.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's our pleasure to have you on.
Great.
I just talked to Andrea Van Vugt over Zoom. If you like more information on how to support the disability benefit, you can go to their website at disabilitywithoutpoverty.ca. This episode is being dedicated to Melisa Aguilar, who had supported me to receive the community support I needed. Thank you for tuning in to CJSW 90.9 FM. If you have missed any other episodes, you can go to cjsw.com or any other podcast apps.